Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Non-Scripted Ramblings. I'm Kendall Richardson. Thank you so much for joining me for my review of episode 4 of What If, which was a big one. And that is what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? A Nexus event if there ever was one, my lordy. Well, I'm just going to start by saying that this is my favourite episode so far. I think this is the best episode so far. I love that it went down a dark path and showing, you know, what happens when our main characters make bad choices. You know, so far we haven't really... We've seen that, but we haven't really seen it... Well, I need to rephrase. So basically, the main character of the episode has not done this yet. So that's interesting, and I like that. I like the fact that we ended on a very depressing note. I mean, mentally it was a lot to process, but it was amazing storytelling. Just absolutely phenomenal, really. Yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about this episode at all. It was practically perfect, in my opinion. We had basically the entire cast return from Doctor Strange, the film, to reprise their roles here. And that is fantastic. So no casting complaints at all this week. You will not hear that rant from me about this episode. So yeah, hats off to all the actors for doing their bit and showing up to make this episode just that extra bit special. Because I doubt it would have had the same kind of impact had it not been Benedict Cumberbatch, had it not been Rachel McAdams, had it not been Benedict Wong or Tilda Swinton. You know, it's just brilliant. It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can probably surmise that the Nexus event of this timeline is kind of, I guess it's implied that it's the fact that Stephen and Christine's relationship is in a better spot than when we see them for the first time in the film Doctor Strange, because as we all know in the film, Stephen rode alone in his car to this function. He was unaccompanied, and for some reason we begin this episode with him picking Christine up to go to said same function. And they're all lovey-dovey and flirty and all of this stuff, which is really, really nice to see, considering we haven't really seen a good version of them together yet in the MCU. Apparently Rachel McAdams will be in Multiverse of Madness, so hopefully we get to see the flames be rekindled there, but who knows what will happen. So yeah, that's just kind of what I'm thinking is the big changing event that sets things off in this universe in a different way. Yeah, I totally was feeling it before it happened. I'm like, the car crash is still gonna happen, but she's gonna die. Like, I totally just was, yeah. I'm definitely picking up on that vibe pretty early on, so when it happened I was not shocked at all, but it was so devastating. And the catalyst, of course, for Dr. Stephen Strange leaving his life behind and seeking out the mystical arts, and becoming a sorcerer. So, and we basically get the entire speed run, if you will, of the events of Doctor Strange, sans Baron Mordo, of course, which is a shame because it would have been really cool to have Chiwetel Ejiofor back for this, but we'll see him in Multiverse of Madness anyway, so, but yeah, yeah, everything kind of plays out the same. No Caecilius either, no Mads Mikkelsen in this. Disappointing as well, but that's okay. It's okay. It's not a complaint. It's not a complaint at all. Yeah, and then, you know, we get the kind of this, I suppose this is another Nexus event in this episode that kind of becomes a thing, because there's this point in time where it's like where universes become multiverses because of decisions that are made. So there's this point in this episode where it's the anniversary of Christine's death. I think he says it's the 2-year anniversary, and he's thinking about her, and he's very sad, and Wong's like, don't do anything reckless, basically. And he decides he's going to use the Eye of Agamotto and the Time Stone within to try and bring her back. And then we get one of the most depressing sequences ever in the MCU. I mean, there's been a few of those lately, but it actually makes me think of like the thing in I think, is it the Simpsons movie, or in the Simpsons when Homer's like saying about like worst night of your life so far. This is like the worst sequence in the MCU so far, or in this episode, I should say, because we get Strange going through all these different variations of trying to bring Christine back, and I started tearing up. This was the first time I started getting really emotional, because it was that compounded with the score on this episode was just phenomenal, and the score really sold it, sold the heft, the emotional heft of this moment, and just made you feel for Doctor Strange like you'd never felt for him before. And he's been through some stuff, but we've never really seen him this defeated and this hopeless and lost, and just sad, and it was just to see all the different ways that she was just dying over and over again, and he was just not giving up. He was just going to keep trying, and he does so until the Ancient One appears and is like, well, this is actually something that cannot be changed. It is what is known as an absolute point in time, which is exactly why she keeps dying no matter what he does, every single time. Sort of life finds a way, death finds a way. Death has a design. And it's just, brutal. Within this sequence, though, this montage of Christine dying over and over, there's a brief cameo by Leslie Bibb reprising her role as reporter Christine Everhart from Iron Man 1, and I think she's in Iron Man 2 as well. Because I saw her name pop up in the credits, and then I was like, when I got to the end, I was like, where was she? And then, on second glance, she's the reporter who's talking about Dr. Palmer dying in I think it's like a gas leak or gas explosion in her apartment building or something of that nature. So, it's all very emotional. But surprising cool little cameo from her. Cool to see her come back, even for a brief yet almost blink and you'll miss it moment. So it's really sad. But then Doctor Strange is kind of like, well, it can be done. Absolute points in time can be changed. Cagliostro did it, or at least the legend says, so I'm gonna do it. I just need more power. The Ancient One's like, nah, I can't let you. And she tries to use magic to stop him from doing it, but it ends up not working, and like he ends up finding a way to get to the lost library of Cagliostro, and trying to find Cagliostro himself. Try saying Cagliostro very fast 5 times. I'm not going to do it. So he can figure out how to bring it back, and it's just at this point it's just really screaming Revenge of the Sith, like hardcore, because this is like exactly what happened to Anakin. Like he knew Padme was going to die, and then as soon as the Emperor was like, well, there was the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and he was able to prevent death, and all of that stuff. So interesting parallel between another Disney property and this one. So that was interesting. But so he goes and he meets Obeng, who might actually be Cagliostro. Apparently Cagliostro in the comics has gone by the name Obeng before. So that's kind of cool. And apparently Obeng is also the great-grandfather of Baron Mordo. So that's also another little cool Easter egg I found out, which is awesome. But regardless, he denies that he's Cagliostro, and he, lets Doctor Strange into the big grand library, which is kind of like this ancient looking sanctum sanctorum, which is pretty awesome. And then he just starts learning and going through the books and all of that stuff, and trying to figure out, and he realizes he needs more power. He just needs to look for places where to find it. And he ends up, we get another montage where he is conjuring up creatures from different dimensions and absorbing them into himself to gain their power. And he starts off with trying to borrow some power from a very recognizable creature, which is the Hydra that we saw in episode 1, which is pretty cool. I should mention that, and I didn't realize this at the time, but it makes sense now, he's time traveled like hundreds of years back in the past, and that's where he ends up when he meets Obeng. So the Hydra hasn't even encountered Captain Carter yet. Not that they're in the same timeline, because obviously this timeline, spoilers for the end, doesn't end up so well. But yeah, if that was kind of a connective piece, then it's just, I think it's just, they've just gone, oh, let's, this is also a dark kind of creature that we can use, that he could use the power of. It's pretty powerful. So yeah, nice little connection there. Yeah, and then it just kind of, as soon as I saw him like start to absorb these creatures, and the way they've animated it with like the power coming in through his eyes, coming in through his mouth, it's bad. I mean, this whole thing's bad anyway. It's the path to the dark side, really. So it just was foreboding as hell, and he just keeps absorbing more and more and more, and it affects him on, changes him in not just power-wise, but personality-wise. He's not the same Doctor Strange that we knew at this point anymore. He's completely changed. And yeah, it's kind of, I kind of loved the animation in this montage, the way the powers were being absorbed into him by these creatures, and how he would kind of take on the physical attributes of whatever he's just absorbed as he's absorbing them. And that final shot of him removing, some of the Hydra's tentacles and absorbing them into himself was really unsettling, but really well done. Yeah, so that's just hectic. That was just very hectic. And then and I really, really loved, and one of the cool things about this episode, so many cool things, but one of the really cool things was the fact that we actually got Uatu, the Watcher, interfering. Like, he was literally breaking the fourth wall, as in, like, he speaks to us, and he's like, I could stop him, I could interfere, but I cannot risk the fate of his world over the fate of every world. And Doctor Strange senses his presence, because he now has that much power. So that's interesting. Yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, but then, we have back to the new Nexus point, if you will. Turns out the Ancient One was actually able to separate Doctor Strange into two variants of himself within the one universe, without breaking the universe. She borrowed power from the Dark Dimension, apparently, to be able to do this. And it's so interesting that she was even able to interfere, because, she's, she's dead, so there's that whole thing. But it did kind of feel like a slight Deus Ex Machina, the fact that she's able to just conveniently come in for the plot and try and help things, like, But hey, it's fine. It works, and I'm always here for more Tilda Swinton, always. So that was good. But yeah, so now we have two Doctor Stranges in this one universe, one good half and one corrupted half. And they eventually have to end up fighting, because the bad Doctor Strange realizes that he needs the good part of him, the split off part, to be reabsorbed within him, so he can actually then bring Christine back. So even after he's absorbed all these mythical creatures and dimensional beings, he still doesn't have the power to change an absolute point in time. So then we get one of the best animated sequences in this series so far, probably the best, and that is of the two halves of Doctor Strange fighting each other, and it's just awesome. The different uses of mystical powers being used, and all the spells being cast is just fantastic. Dialogue between them as well. We even get the bloody cloak of levitation and this dark version of the cloak almost fighting each other, and then, you know, sadly we lose the cloak of levitation because it, similar to what it did with Thanos in Infinity War, it wrapped itself around his arms, but then because he was, the Dark Doctor Strange was so powerful, he was able to rip it off, so he rips it to shreds and by cloak of levitation, which was like, oh, that's sad. So no more cloak of levitation. And yeah, they just keep fighting and fighting, and it's so epic and so awesome. And eventually, Doctor Strange wins, which I didn't think was going to happen. And I really liked the fact that I didn't think that was going to happen. And then they did that. Hell yes, don't be predictable. I love that. The good guys don't always win, as we know. So yeah, so that was great and just kind of very unsettling at the same time. So then the universe starts to crumble, and he resurrects Christine in another beautiful, gorgeous animation sequence. I love the effect of the car rising up and then splitting into its different parts, and her kind of like being as like maybe like a soul represented, like just floating within, all bathed in blue and white light. It just looked amazing. So she gets brought back, and she's greeted by this monstrous version of Doctor Strange, who is appearing to her as this being that has every single physical attribute and feature of the creatures he absorbed, and it's just freaky as hell looking. Like, even I got a bit like, oh, that's unsettling. Yeah, it was dark. I loved it though. Like, it's so good. So she's freaking the hell out. She's freaking out. Bad time. And nearly falls off a cliff as the world continues to crumble around them. And it's just, from there, it's just intense from there on, because that universe is literally about to collapse on itself, because the absolute point in time has been changed. And even though he brought Christine back, he's brought her back into a world that can no longer exist. And it's just brutal. And so Stephen's trying to like use all the power and magic he can to protect him and protect her. He begins to encase them in this big like crystal kind of prison. And then he sees the Watcher and he calls out to him, and then Owatu like merges into his universe from out the shadows, and it's just like, whoa, holy shit. And then he just starts talking, he's like, you were warned, mate. You were warned. I can't help you. I am not allowed to interfere. And then he's like, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want this to happen. Please punish me. Save everyone else. Save Christine. The Watcher's like, I wish I could, but I can't. Like, sorry. You had your chance. And it's just kind of tragic that the amount of instant regret that Stephen feels over his choice to sacrifice, you know, an entire universe for one person who we can't even have at the end of the day, because she's part of that universe and she vanishes. Very similar to how certain characters vanished in Infinity War. Slightly different effect, of course, but the concept is the same, being erased from existence. And it's, especially because her last words to him are like, what did you do? Man. And then it's just him in this glass encased kind of crystal thing, a really tiny ball. It's just him. That's all that remains of this entire universe. Everything's gone. Everything he knew, everyone he loved, gone. And it's just him. And it's just, and then the music just swells and hits you, and you're like, I started crying immediately. I couldn't handle it. I was like, what the fuck? they really did that. Okay, cool. And this is canon too in the MCU. So yeah, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this episode, because that kind of just all sums it up, really. I'm just looking at my notes just to see if there's anything else that I forgot that I wanted to say. I think that's pretty much, look, yeah, this was a practically perfect episode of television. It was just brilliant from start to finish, and I love the fact that they took a risk and they took a chance, decided to be ballsy and like have this moment of just pure despair. To really remind people of the choices of, like, you cannot sacrifice the greater good for the greater one. You know, for just the one person, you cannot make that kind of choice. And someone like Doctor Strange, who was the Sorcerer Supreme of our dimension, our universe, should not have made that choice. And I've been realizing, like, part of the reason he made that choice is because what separates this version of Doctor Strange and the one we know from the main timeline is all to do with the fact that he didn't lose his hands, he lost Christine, and not just for that base reason, but because of what that did to him mentally. The loss of his hands, whilst in the film, it took him a lot longer to process that, and calm down. Like, his ego was still very present for a long time, and he was purely driven by his ego. But eventually, that experience of him losing the ability to use his hands and then discovering magic and discovering that he can actually be a master of it, and just the scale of things in terms of the world and all that, I think that just really changed him fundamentally and made him less selfish. Whereas in this version of Doctor Strange, who has lost Christine, he's lost his love, he still is the same Doctor Strange who has the ability to, be the world-class surgeon we know he is, because he's still got his hands. He doesn't need magic, but he wants it to bring her back. So in that sense, I feel like the humbling experience he goes through in the film is not the same here. So he's still going to be, and we see it in the episode through the dialogue and through the tone in his dialogue. Certain quips that he makes are very kind of arrogant in nature, very cocky, jovial and jerky in certain spots. And it's fine, it's funny, there's some humorous moments and some humorous dialogue, but it's because he hasn't been through this experience that has altered his personality permanently to the version we now know in the main timeline. He's not the same Doctor Strange for that reason as well. So that also kind of goes with the fact of this, he has tunnel vision for bringing Christine back and will do anything it takes. And I kind of think that's just maybe how he works anyway. He will do anything and everything to get what he wants. That just seems to be the way Doctor Strange is. But yeah, I don't think but then again, it's the way he is with Christine in the film, in the show, in this episode, is really nice and loving and quite different to the Doctor Strange that we see, like the way he is with her in the film. So I don't know, maybe I'm not onto something here, but he does have two different mindsets when it comes to I think his arrogance and his ego in this. I feel like, the Doctor Strange that we know now would not have made this choice. So, but yeah, who knows? Anyway, I think that might do it for me. Fantastic episode, 10 out of 10. Easily the best one, like I said, so far. Just phenomenal. If all of the rest of the episodes of the season are like this, then I'm so excited. But the fact that we know now that Marvel, like the writers, like AC Bradley and his writing team, can pull out this kind of level of what if storytelling in this show, then we're in for a hell of a run for the rest of the series, not just the season, the entire thing. So I can't wait for more. It's going to be awesome. So that's it from me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. If I left anything out or you have any questions or anything, just comment below, please. Don't forget to like this video, share this video if you want as well. And subscribe, of course, to FREDtheALIEN Productions so you don't miss any of our videos that come out, especially if you're a Marvel fan. All of my content is on this channel, so please subscribe so you can stay up to date with that. Check out my trailer reactions to Eternals and No Way Home, and everything else. There's just Marvel, Marvel, Marvel all the time. So, yeah, stick around. But for now, I guess, until next time, I've been a Kendall Richardson, and you've just experienced non-scripted rambling.